Welcome to Rapid Reviews Radio Podcast Episode 236. I am your co-host, Kiley Wilde, and I'm joined by my ever-present co-host, Pete Beckett.
Buenos dias.
He knows how to speak Spanish because he went away and learned how to speak Spanish.
That is literally all I know.
Un poquito. That means little.
I said thank you very much. I should have said hola amigo.
Well, that's true. But yes. So you might have noticed we've been away. Well,
no, I've been
Pete's
away.
I'm still in the same place, doing the same thing. Ain't nothing gonna change. Ain't nothing gonna break my stride. Anyway.
Well, the only thing that you did differently is you did a Sunday show on your own stream and started talking about video games. And was like, this is boring.
I did. I was like, I've got to talk about video games.
It's just not the same.
It wasn't. But we're here now with our lovely, lovely, beautiful listeners and watchers. And you can come check us out at twitch.tv/Rapid Reviews. I just drank a shot of tequila, and it's already sloshing around in my brain.
I know, and considering you've been saying it for nearly 3 weeks, it's like, come back over here on twitch.tv/Rapid Reviews, and then you nearly forgot it when it's go time.
And I was like, wait, do I say welcome, or howdy, folks? Brent has arrived. Bueno, Brent Mincy, he's lurking.
Fair play.
Yes, so, Pete, that means that you get to tell our lovely, beautiful, fabulous listeners and watchers around the world, what it was you did around the world.
I didn't do much around the world apart from go and sit on a sunbed in the amazing heat of Mexico.
Oh, man.
It was incredible. It was my honeymoon, so me and Rachel got to enjoy a bit of time away, a bit of enjoyment, a bit of a long flight over the Atlantic and down to the Caribbean part of Mexico rather than the MS-13 gangland Mexico.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lovely resort where we went, a beautiful part of the world, and would highly recommend anyone to go there if they can. I met lots of nice people, including some Texans. So I now know more Texans than Kiley.
That's true. At this moment.
Yeah, which I mean, they were nice. Some good food, some good company. Did a couple of excursions out, and it was just incredible. I've eaten my weight in burritos and tacos for a lifetime, but I now want more.
I miss Mexican food so bad.
Incredible. I want more. I think me and Rachel are probably going to do a themed Mexican night every week.
Yes. Yeah, I would if I had anyone to eat with. I would have Taco Tuesdays.
Oh, don't, because I now need to do Taco Tuesdays. God damn it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so most lunchtimes would be a taco or a burrito and nachos. Like
my fave.
With liquid cheese as well, so Jesus Christ. It was not as nice, but I'll deal with it. It's fine. It was very good. I ate a lot of food. I'll come back fat. Yeah. I haven't been to the gym. I achieved
I've gained weight too.
I achieved one run on holiday. Went out at 6:30 in the morning, ran, and was always intended to do more. The gym kind of sucked there, so I was like, disappointing. Anyway, next week is back to it. But
me too.
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you as well.
Right.
Because I've been doing stuff.
Yes.
I took my Steam Deck with me. I took my Switch with me. I achieved about 6 hours of gaming in the entire 2 weeks.
That's kind of good in a way, actually.
Over 2 weeks, that's kind of terrible. And that playtime was 2 particular moments. The plane there and the plane home.
I was going to say, but that's good, isn't that? Because that means you were busy, right?
I would have played more, but actually American TV is surprisingly good in the evening. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to watch a movie every night. So I didn't do much gaming. Also trying to play a Steam Deck when it runs quite hot in the Mexican heat. Yeah. Not the best idea, so I erred on the side of caution on that one. So I'm only going to talk about the 2 games that I have played One of them is I've played about 30 more minutes of Expedition 33, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I have run up to an incredibly difficult boss, and it is winding me the hell up because it is incredibly difficult. That's about it. I didn't really do much. I picked it up on Friday. Yeah. The most of what I have been playing, and to be fair, the most part was probably on the plane ride out to Mexico. Because during the day, a lot easier to play games. During the middle of the night, when you want to be sleeping on a plane, not the best time to play games. So I probably played about 6 hours of Yakuza 0 on the Steam Deck. I'm now up to, I believe, the beginning of Chapter 8. And things are getting a bit crazy. I'm really enjoying the game. The open world itself is decent, but you can see it's a little bit more primitive by comparison to the rest of the other Yakuza games, because it's a symptom of an early open world games, I guess.
Yeah.
Story's fantastic. The voice acting's fantastic. It has a few old elements in it, like I said previously, with an escort mission. And a few instances like where, oh, you have to go and do this, and you can't progress until you do this one little thing that takes you bloody ages to do because you can't find it anywhere. It's like, oh, can you go and find this item? It doesn't tell you where to find the item. You just have to go and find it. So, yeah, it's a little bit finicky at times, but it's an incredible game, and I'm really enjoying it. But obviously, it's quite hard to get a lot of time to play things when you're spending time with your wife.
I was going to say, on your honeymoon.
Yeah, so I opted not to play many games, to be honest, because of that reason. But that's fine, because Kylie's done all the heavy lifting this time.
That's it.
So, Kylie, how you been? What you been playing?
I, unlike yourself, have been playing non-stop. Oh, Paulo, you're going to have to get down. And Dagger says, damn, if my play levels were that low, I'll check my pulse. Me too. Who would have thought Yakuza 0 is getting an exclusive English dub on Switch too? That's weird.
I know it is because I played it. I did it at the Switch 2 event and it was available.
Right.
And also you have to remember, since Yakuza, Like a Dragon Gaiden, they have had an English voice actor, although he is not the greatest English voice actor. It just meant that they could bring him in and do some dub, which is cool, I guess.
Yes. So I've been playing a bunch of stuff, which means I have to remember it. Therein lies the problem. So, obviously, when Doom dropped Dark Ages, I played that. I did it early access because of Pete. Wait, let me put Apollo down. Apollo, you gotta go down. Then I played Firewatch. Played Firewatch, which I did not like at all.
Oh, is that the game that was emotionally draining?
It started emotionally draining. I was like, uh-oh, I've made a very bad choice to play this game. But as we continued on, I just did not like any of the female characters in that game. There was only like 3. No, there's 4 if you count the teenagers. They were the most... I just couldn't suffer. I couldn't suffer their whatever-ness. It was like, I hate this. And I don't know if that was intentional. I don't know if that was accidental, that it just happened to be the females. Or if it was a subconscious thing in the writer's part. I don't know. But they were awful. Insufferable is the word I was looking for. So I have to say, I don't think Firewatch is a game for me. But I did play it and played it all the way through. Then we started Deadly Premonition.
Oh,
and
God.
That game is cray. I had to hurry up and switch because it opens with the naked dead body cut open. And I was live streaming on YouTube. So, you can figure out what happened with that. So, then after that, we did, Nan, if I forget anything, please remind me. That Deliver at All Costs. I can't believe I remembered that. I love that game.
Is that what you were playing on Friday, wasn't it?
Yes, it's a Konami game, first of all, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's strange.
And it was a completely destructible environment. There's no pressure. Like, it's not like Crazy Taxi where you have to, deliver stuff and, this time limit in order to pass to the next section. No, there's no time limit, which I like. I don't like pressure in games, especially time limits. So that is a very fun game, and it was free on the Epic Store, which is funny because I didn't know that.
Is it still free on the Epic Games Store?
I think it's free until the 29th. I think.
Okay.
But double check me on that. But it is fun as heck. And then I did another game. Oh, currently the game I'm playing, because we're also doing Resident Evil 8 still. But currently my new obsession is called Yes, Your Grace. It is by No More Robots, which we've seen them many times. Many times.
Sorry, what was that? What was that?
The name of the game? Yes, Your Grace.
Yes, you.
Yeah. And Nana says, yeah, I was like, Konami still makes games. Well, yeah, Nana was like, Konami still makes games? Yes. And then, we played more Family Man.
Yeah, they've got Metal Gear Solid Delta coming out this year.
Oh, that's right. They do, don't they?
Yeah.
But Yes, Your Grace is fun. It's done in that whole 8-bit pixel art style, which I don't give a rat's ass about anymore. It's overplayed. Overdone. But you have to remember, I'm really old, so I was around when it all started. It's not like a new retro thing for me. It's like, I lived it. I'm kind of over it. But that's not the point of this game. You're the king, and you have to make decisions, and your decisions can come back and haunt you, and I love that kind of stuff. That kind of like psychological narrative type thing. And so I'm currently obsessed with that, what will happen is I'll play probably 24 hours straight and then never pick it up again. Because that's how my obsessions work. It's like, okay, I'm over this now. But right now I'm playing it on the iPad as well. But I think it's available on like everything. And I think that's all my games, I believe, that I done played.
Family Man?
I did. I played a little bit more Family Man.
Okay, because I've included it in your list.
Yeah.
So I have some questions.
Yes.
It's mostly to do with the Dark Ages.
Wait, let me answer Nana. I haven't streamed it yet. I wanted to test it and see if I liked it. And then if I like it, I might put a stream on it. Yes. I may be streaming it on a Saturday. Anyway, yes, ask the questions because I want to talk about one aspect of Doom Dark Ages that really just irked me. But anyway, yes.
First of all, what's your general opinion of it by comparison to Doom and Doom Eternal? I mean, Doom 2016, of course.
Yeah. Well, okay, I'm going to preface this with saying something that Pete called me a long time ago, which is the most accurate thing I've ever heard, which is, you are the dumbest smart person I've ever met. So, I'm really smart on certain things. I am not smart when I have to push a bunch of buttons. And I also have no depth perception. Which means that I struggle really bad in both 2016 and Eternal, but way more in Eternal, on the platforming and the jumping and the changing out the weapons and blah, blah, blah. I have to admit, on that, I do prefer the keyboard. This Dark Ages streamlines it, like, way down. There are way fewer button presses. I'm not, like, having a flash of adrenaline every time I have to jump to a platform or whatever. Because I don't have to remember the button sequence, which is really good for my very, very simple brain. And the gore level is good. Perfect. I was worried they were going to cut it down, but they didn't. Because they don't do glory kills. They call it something else.
Okay. But you still get your health and your ammo and all that through.
Oh, yeah.
Through those kills.
There's a lot of throwbacks to the original Doom, which is really nice. It's a lot of fan service, which is good. I'm for that. I really do like I said, they don't call them glory kills anymore. I don't remember what they call them, but I can still chop people's heads off and cut them in half, and those things make me very happy. It's a few of my favorite things.
Okay.
For some people, it's whiskers on kittens. For me, it's cutting demons in half with my chainsaw shield that defies all physics.
Of course.
But I do love it. I'm trying to think of how I would rank them. I think right now, because I'm in it, Doom Dark Ages is above, like it's pulled ahead of Doom Eternal.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the story structure of Doom Eternal.
Okay.
But Doom Dark Ages was just like made for people like me.
Okay, which leads me to my next question. Is the
Yes.
story as terrible as everyone is saying it is?
I mean, here's the thing, and I kind of went on a mini rant about this over on my channel. When it comes to FPSs, okay. Let me back up a little bit. I've stated very, very often that Halo 3 is probably, if it's not my favorite game, it's in my top 3. It kind of changes off and on. And the reason why Halo 3, I love it so much, is because of the story. It's a romance. But it's not like a chick flick, icky romance. It's like, I don't know, just the kind that I like. Two emotionally unavailable people. One's a hologram and one's a robot man. Works for me. But the first 2 Halos I played, and I played religiously. I played Halo. It wasn't called Halo CE. It was just called Halo. Like, religiously when it came out. Could I tell you anything about the story? No. I didn't know anything. I couldn't tell you factions. I knew what the grunts were, but that's it. I didn't know what suit Master Chief was in. I didn't even know Master Chief's name was John. And I'm talking about, I played Halo for years, not knowing any of this. The first Dooms, I never knew the story. Never had no clue, didn't care. Doom 2016, still no story. Didn't stick in my head, don't care. I just want to shoot demons in the face. Doom Eternal was the first time where I was like, okay, they're putting some lore in here that's catching my eye. I did a little backstory digging, as I do. And it's a confusing lore. Very confusing. So, fast forward to Doom Dark Ages. I don't think it's any different than Doom Eternal as far as like story quality.
Okay, so kind of pointless in a first-person shooter that's all about killing demons.
Yes. Now, Pete, that's probably the best way to say it is, let's be honest. With few exceptions, stories are pointless in first-person shooters. I don't care. Most people don't care. We're there to shoot. And then if they play the campaign, that's amazing, because I always play the campaign. Most people are playing multiplayer. They don't care about the story. It's not that important. I kind of feel like that with this too. It's confusing. But holy crap, the character design. The character design in this is next frickin' level. I caught myself.
Nice. Good work. Good effort.
Yeah, but it is next level because I remember the characters. Like, going back to like Halo, I don't remember any. Well, I did later because I became obsessed with the lore. But like the first time I played Halo, I couldn't tell you who any of those characters were. All the original Doom, I don't know. I can picture every single character that they've introduced over here in Doom Dark Ages because they're it's in depth and just I don't want to say in depth. They're just amazing. They look so cool. It's very, very Geiger influence. Very 80s goth. And I'm into that. Very metal. Very just, I don't know. The design is on point, and I can't fault them at all for that. So, it's an aesthetically pleasing game. And it has destructible environments.
Okay, it looks kind of cool. Like the gameplay loop looks awesome. And I know it's on Game Pass, but I haven't had any time to play it.
No,
How does it work with an open world, though?
Well, I haven't really done any open world stuff. That's not to say that, well, I mean...
Yeah, because a lot of Doom and Doom Eternal were all combat arena sort of stuff, wasn't it? Like the old school ways.
Yeah.
So does it translate well enough to an open environment?
Let me say it's a limited open world. Then it says BioShock. I feel like that's a major exception. As a first-person shooter, I put BioShock... I'm sorry if I'm yelling. It's because I can't hear. I put BioShock in the same FPS category as, like, Fallout, where they have to have story. Because it's not about shooting demons in the face or shooting, wastelanders or whatever. The story is the main thing there. So I do think that BioShock, Fallout, and all those, they're kind of like the exception over here.
Yeah.
But you're straight up running and gunning, shooting people in the face. Don't need a story. Same thing with GTA. I never really got the story of GTA. I love it. Well, I can't say I love it. I enjoy playing it. All I know is I like Trevor. But, but open world on Doom, it's limited open world, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's open zone.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to describe it. And I kind of like that for this style of game because I don't think open world would have worked. Fully exploring
open.
and
Yeah,
it's just I think it would be too much. It'd be
enough.
overwhelming, I think.
Sure.
Yeah. But overall, if you haven't played it, go play it. It's amazing. If you like shooting things in the face, and I do.
Which you do
in the game.
So.
Yes.
Are you sure just in the game?
Yeah. You'll never know.
Well, you are a Texan, so...
That's one of the first questions I usually get asked. Have you ever shot a gun?
Aren't you literally born in Texas and then a gun put in your hand?
That's the rules.
Yeah.
Them's the rules.
Yeah, okay. I did have one other question about it, I'm sure, but it's eluding me right now. So
I'm sure it'll pop back. Oh, I remember what I was going to complain about.
Yeah, that was it. Sorry, go on. You go with complaint and I'll go with the question.
Yeah. Yeah, so here's the thing. No brag here at all because it's already probably out of style, but I do have a 4060 Ti. Again, it's a few years old. It's not that impressive anymore, but it's impressive enough for new games. And Nvidia has this whole deal with Doom Dark Ages. Come on. Do you want up or you just want? Okay. And so they have just all special settings and all this kind of stuff, which I'm so into, whatever. So then I went, put it on full blast settings. It was great. Tested it, worked fine. Started to stream. My lovely, beautiful my beautiful chat was in there, and they can tell you it jittered and juttered everywhere.
Oh yes, I know about this one because I know about the specs for it, and this is something that's really winding me up as well. But I'll get to that in a minute because I can talk tech stuff.
Yeah, well, but this is what's even more crazy is that I meet all the specs. I meet and exceed all the specs. But when I streamed, it started to jutter. And I was like, this is weird. So I went ahead and I just dropped all the settings. And I was like, I'm sorry, guys. It's just not playing. The next day, it did an update. Bam, right when you started it, there was a big alert that said, we have been told that... running the game at full blast, I'm using my language, interferes with a lot of streaming overlays.
Yes, it does.
OBS, Streamlabs, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, what? And they're like, we're working on it. We're trying to get it resolved, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if they ever did because I keep running it for the stream. I run it at a lower setting than I do on my computer. On my computer, it looks and runs amazing. Absolutely amazing.
When you're playing it on its own?
Yeah. But the minute I start up the stream, it just...
Yeah.
Anyway.
My issue with it, and I believe this is an issue with quite a lot of people, isn't the minimum required spec, graphics card for it, a 3070?
Yeah,
That's disgusting.
It is.
I
agree.
Isn't ray tracing on by default as well, and you cannot turn it off?
It's definitely on by default.
No, you cannot turn it off. There is no way to turn it off. It is baked into the system.
I can't remember all the crap I started unchecking.
But
I was on stream.
No,
unchecking.
One of the things you cannot uncheck
I don't know
is
what
ray
DLSS
tracing.
is.
What's
DLSS?
AI upscaling in terms of frame rate and graphic resolution.
I was like, that's going on.
Which is where a lot of people have issues with Nvidia cards because they are artificially they're basically artificially emulating games to run at 60 or more, but not natively at 60 or more, or even at a base resolution that's sometimes even lower than 1080p.
Right.
And then enhancing it to 4K through DLSS. So it's not actually native resolutions. So, kind of a bit bollocks, really.
Yeah.
But also, Danka's put it as I know someone who's trying to bypass it but finding it difficult due to Denuvo. So, apparently the Steam Deck version, because of that being on Proton and Linux, Yeah, it causes a lot of issues with the game because of the Nouveau.
Oh my goodness.
Which is absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, so the problem I have with this is, and I'm just going to tell you, my specs is a 3050 8GB card. Apparently, the minimum specs that you need to actually run this properly of virtual RAM is around 11GB. I can't play this on my PC. It's impossible. I think that's dog crap.
I was gonna say this. It's very reminiscent, and I said this on my stream. It's very reminiscent of the Crisis days.
Mm-hmm.
And I hated being locked out back then because back then I didn't have money. I was young, dumb. Not the rest of that phrase. Working.
Maybe you were, but who knows?
No, not back then. And I didn't make a lot of money. There was no way I was gonna be able to afford a rig that could play a game. I didn't even know what 3D acceleration was yet.
No,
I remember just being
really
completely.
did.
Yeah, so I was like, I didn't know why my computer couldn't run it. I had a lot to learn. But now it's 2 years old, so it's not the top of the top right now. But I've got a good rig. It runs it. But I spent a lot of money on this.
Yeah, and this is the problem. A lot of people
can't do that.
No, and I think this is the problem that people are finding is that people are spending a lot of money on rigs that actually can't really play games anymore.
Yes.
Which you'll find is why a lot of people are now moving over to AMD or Intel, or say Intel graphics cards, because Nvidia are completely pooping the bed when it comes to their graphics cards.
Well, 2 points to that. One, I like what Denker says, which it's as if Microsoft have done it on purpose to get people playing it on their console. That crossed my mind.
I don't think that's the case.
It's a little conspiratorial, but it is a thought. But 2, don't forget that the last 2 or 3 iterations of NVIDIA, just blanked out, were for Bitcoin mining. They didn't care. That's why people were buying it. They didn't care. They didn't do any specs. They didn't optimize it. It was purely, and they didn't drop their prices. They were like, yeah, Bitcoin, woo! So that's why it's turned crap. And I knew it would. But yes, I don't think it's right. I have to agree.
Anyway, I was supposed to put this in the what you've been playing section because.
Oh right, okay.
I'm going to talk about it now. My time over the last few days has not been what I've been playing, it's what I've been doing.
Yes, Pete, what have you been doing? Because he's kept it a secret from me.
Today, I made an excursion to London. And I went to MCM Comic Con.
I didn't even know that was on.
Neither did I, but one of Rachel's friends was like, I really want to go to Comic Con. So we were like, let's go to Comic Con.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, we did. So I've only been there the one day, and this is going to be a little bit of a rant. I didn't mind it there. It wasn't the worst event that I've been to. I've been to a lot worse.
So Comic-Cons are very different than
they are very different.
Gaming conventions.
So we know, obviously, Comic-Con took over EGX. ReedPop run both. And EGX fell by the wayside. Last year, EGX went into Comic-Con. Let's just say that there was absolutely no video games there this year. None whatsoever. They had something for Elden Ring, but that was because there was a Bandai Namco store there, because obviously they do a lot of anime stuff. There's a lot of stalls, and well, there's a lot of there was a stage presence, but I didn't see anything on the schedule that I was that interested in. And the ticket wasn't that expensive, so I can't complain too much. But yeah, it is literally just a paid market. It is quite ridiculous. It's wasn't my cup of tea, let's say, but I had a fun day because I was spent with good company.
See, that's what counts.
Yeah.
I was a hardcore Comic-Con goer for many years, and then of course when I got here, it was MCM. That MCM runs all the Comic-Cons, and I did notice exactly what Pete said. Every year it got more and more, like, the stalls started out in one room and you could go walk around and everything, and it was like, oh, cool. But me being in printing, I know where all that stuff comes from. I know how much it actually costs. I can get my hands on it for pennies. Or I can just make it because I know how they made it. There's very few that's like artisan stuff. That was the first year.
Yep.
Every year it got bigger. And then, even I know Insomnia is not really a Comic-Con. That is a video game thing.
Yep.
But Insomnia mirrored the same exact thing. First year, few stalls, it was nice. That last year I went and had the huge rant about it. It was all stalls.
Yeah.
No, nothing. It was all stalls.
Yeah, that's pretty much what the show floor was. So, you haven't been to the XL Centre because obviously you haven't come over here for that sort of thing.
One day.
Basically, they have like 2 massive convention halls that you can. Well, they're like little units that you can split up, or you can have like one side completely open. No, MCM Comic Con is so massive that it has both sides open. Like, the whole convention centre, the whole XL Centre is taken up for it. And Nana says it right, it's more for anime and comics, to be fair. I completely agree. I know it. I know what it was. But considering that ReedPop own EGX, they made absolutely no attempt to even have an EGX area. So they've basically just gone and done exactly what we said they were going to do last year.
I was going to say, we predicted that.
Oh, I know, and that's what it was so disappointing to see this year, was like, they didn't even care about EGX. They've just got rid of it. It was like they just shuffled it off, and took it out back and shot it. But like, even then, like, the stage presence, like the stage shows themselves, they were scattered throughout. Like, they were sparse, and you didn't know where they were until you basically were right on top of them. And even then, it was like, oh, is that a stage show? What's actually going on? Don't know.
Yeah.
It was a bit weird. And it was just stall after stall after stall. And most of them all selling mostly the same things. There were a few unique little things here and there, but it felt very corporatized, let's be honest. Yes. And it just wasn't that great, if I'm honest.
No.
I only paid 20 quid for the ticket. I don't care that much. So
still, that's still a lot.
For a London convention, it's not terrible, actually, though.
All right, I'll grant you that. That's true.
So I can take that. And to be fair, it was a birthday present for one of Rachel's friends. So I was like, well, go and do something for them. Even Rachel went, which is a surprise.
That's very cool.
13 years I've been trying to get to a nerd event, and it took one of her friends' birthdays to get her to a nerd event.
There you go.
Not me. Oh well.
You gotta start somewhere.
I think she had fun anyway. It's fine.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
So, no, I think Comic Cons are always going to make more money than video game conventions.
Oh, they will.
I find that.
We need another.
Find it sad.
But we need another video game convention. We need it.
Well,
needs to return.
Maybe when I climb out of my hole of depression.
When
we'll throw the best.
When that whole
2057.
I was going to say that whole of depression has lasted about 15 years.
But yes.
You're like
one day.
You're like a bucket of crabs. You keep getting pulled down by the darkness. Anytime you get close, it's like, no.
Nope, we're going to yank you right back down. But I'll tell you what I discovered
we're
this year.
Making jokes about it, but it's not.
Yeah,
not
I don't want. No. If you're suffering, and no, this is just how I cope. I just cope with humor. I would never ever do this to anyone else. But I learned this year you can pay people to do things for you. So if you don't mow your yard because you're too sad, you just pay the guy that does it professionally, and then he comes and he mows your yard. It looks amazing.
Yeah, it usually does. Usually looks pretty good.
Yeah,
but I find a sense of I find a sense of enjoyment and accomplishment by doing things myself.
I normally do. That's how I knew that I wasn't doing so great.
Yeah.
It's because I wasn't getting that self-satisfied feeling, which is what I thrive on. That's why I am the success that I am. And then I was like, uh-oh, I'm missing that. But you know what I can't do? I can pay somebody else to do the work.
Yes, you can. But I don't enjoy that as much.
Yeah, probably be like, eventually. Oh, no, well, I say this. Okay, Pete makes this joke a lot, and then we'll move on. But he's also not joking. I really do have 2 courtyards, 1 side garden, and 1 front garden, which is probably bigger than most people's every garden.
I mean, bearing in mind, I've seen it on Google Street View.
I know, which looks terrible. There's a picture of me on Google Street View during lockdown, and I'm like 500 pounds. I'm not really 500 pounds, but that stupid angle makes me look, first of all, 4 times bigger. I know nobody cares about this, but I do. Anyway. But this weekend, I have a outdoor kitchen area that I'm working on, and I hired some guys to come help me do the heavy lifting and all the other stuff. Cause it's just my life now. It's just my life.
I'd rather pay people to do my job.
Like maybe
if I throw enough money at it, it'll go away.
Exactly. If I was ever partnered up, probably never will be, but if I ever was, it would probably be like a team effort. But guess what? It's me on my own. So I hired some guys. So what? You can tell I feel really guilty about it. But my point is that, oh my gosh, it took them all day, but they did it. They cleared it, cleaned it up. Now, this is where my kind of like self-satisfaction kicks in, because I see it now and it's a blank canvas and I'm like, ha. I get to go paint it, and I get to go tile it, and I get to go put it in the kitchen and build all the stuff and blah, blah, blah. So at least I haven't lost that part of me. It's still there. It just needs a little bit of help. So, who knows? Kylie and Pete's convention coming 2057.
Sweet, when I'll be dead.
No, you won't be dead.
2057? 32 years. Yeah, I'll be dead.
Trying to do the math. No, you won't.
Yeah, I will.
Dagger says, better than being caught nude or up to mischief. In the nude.
I mean, I don't know. She's currently texting on her phone from that. I don't know if she's currently up to mischief while she's bringing the bins in.
Oh, goodness.
Right, we're 37 minutes in and we've done no news.
We've done no news, and I've had 3 margaritas.
Goddamn.
And no one's even redeemed it.
Doesn't matter. You've redeemed yourself.
I did. I have. It's my redemption arc.
Cool.
Redemption snark. But yes, Pete, what kind of news have you got for us? I'm going to drink and be disruptive.
Well, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. There are a lot of news stories, but most of them are all guff. Because most of the really interesting and cool news to talk about all happened whilst I was freaking away, which is bloody annoying.
Yep, especially the Waffle House one. I really wanted to talk about that.
The Waffle House one? Oh, what? Yes. Waffle House is partnering up with Tekken, wasn't it?
Yes.
That is freaking ridiculous.
It made me laugh so hard. I love it. There's something else that made me laugh, too.
I just don't understand it.
There's also a video game coming out about the Troubles. I meant to tell Pylord that.
The Troubles? Oh, really?
That's the...
Oh, damn.
Yeah, over here.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
I don't know how that's going to go.
What else was happening? It was like the FTC dropped their case about Microsoft.
Oh, yeah. But, of course, they were...
PS5 potentially not confirmed yet going up in price. The Xbox going up in price.
Yes.
Oh, my God. We missed all the good news. I'd say good, I mean bad news. Missed all the juicy stuff. But I've got some things that are juicy enough. Some of it were a bit of a carryover from last week, I think. But hey, we didn't talk about it, so it's new to us.
I'm gonna stop drinking that. That's a lot of sugar. Okay.
Yeah, please do, because I need you coherent for our last story.
Oh,
because, yeah.
I'm still drinking tequila.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying I need you at least coherent enough to discuss the last story a bit.
Yes.
Right, so we were talking conventions, so let's talk about Germany's biggest convention, Gamescom.
Which I really wanted to go to.
Me too. One day.
1 year.
One day.
Yep. Let's plan for next year.
Let's talk about it, because I don't know what I'm doing yet next year. There might be a big trip involved next year. Oh, yeah, sorry, that was another thing I was supposed to talk about. I only went and booked my Evo tickets, didn't I?
Of course, yes, you did. That's right, you did. You told me.
Yeah,
Yes, which is going to be very cool.
I am currently in Street Fighter 6, so I bought myself a dock for my Steam Deck so that I can play Street Fighter 6 on the go.
Take as much footage as you can.
I'm going to try.
See if we can use it at all.
I'm going to try, and I'm possibly going to be sat in a hotel room in France, like, on Sunday evening, depending on what time it finishes. So I could do it live from the Evo floor.
Do it live. Yes.
We're doing it live. Well, we're doing it live right now anyway, but it'll be live from France. In fact, I might even call the episode live from France.
Yes.
So long as my internet connection's not dog crap, of course. I might have to find out how to boot Windows onto the Steam Deck so I can use that. Different microphone. Anyway, right, so Gamescom. We're going to talk about Gamescom because one of the big three has now confirmed that they're going to be in attendance. Nintendo.
They do this every year.
I know. Well, Nintendo, I don't think Nintendo have been there for a
They didn't go last year.
No, they weren't. So, Nintendo has announced that it will be taking part in Gamescom this year following its decision to skip last year's event. So, the company chose not to attend in 2024. It was believed that at the time this was due to Nintendo focusing on the then unannounced Switch 2 system. So, they've confirmed the return to the show, which is going to be taking place in Cologne, or...
it's Cologne.
Yeah,
I think that's how I pronounce it.
Cologne, or Germany, yeah.
I want to go. They have a miniature museum there.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't call it Cologne, Germany.
No.
In
that's how it's called.
August 20th to 24th. So the post came from the official German account on X, which states, "Mark it in red on your calendar. Nintendo will be back at Gamescom in 2025." So, yeah, not much of a story here, let's be honest. So,
well, I mean, but it's a nice little mention.
Yeah, it's a quick one.
It's a quick one.
So, let's continue and talk about Nintendo and get this one out of the way, because those who were in the know, or those who remembered listening to our big breakdown of the Nintendo Direct with Mike Tendo and Gorney, will remember that there was features that were included on the Switch 2.
Yes.
Well,
what?
Well, despite initially announcing the feature, Nintendo has confirmed that Switch 2 will not support variable refresh rate when played in docked mode.
Like,
even though they had it in the Direct and on the website.
No, I don't know how things work.
Hang on. Let's get into this a little bit more. Let's delve into it first. VR, in Nintendo's words, helps games move seamlessly by preventing frame skips and flickering.
Right.
Following Switch 2's full reveal in April, Nintendo's official websites had advertised VRR support for the console in both handheld and docked mode. However, some weeks later, it was noticed that references to VRR have been quietly removed in relation to docked play. Now, over a month later, Nintendo has finally clarified the Switch 2 will support VRR in handheld mode only, but not on TV. According to a spokesman told Nintendo Life, why were you talking to Nintendo Life? This is a terrible idea. Anyway, Switch 2 supports VRR on handheld only. The incorrect information was initially published on the Nintendo 2 website, and we apologise for the error. When asked if VR support for docked mode could be added later via a firmware update, Nintendo said, "We have nothing to announce on this topic," which means, yes, it's definitely coming later on down the line. Yeah, so Nintendo have unfortunately been caught with their pants down, promising support for a feature on this. Yeah, not good. Especially when your console is due out in 10 days. I mean,
that's why I'm legitimately shocked. And also, I didn't think that would be that big of a thing to do. If it's already set up for that. Refresh rate, somebody explained it to me. I can't remember who it was. It might have even been Danker.
Probably Danker.
In fact, I think it was Danker. They explained to me, so much of that is controlled by software now, not by hardware. So...
yeah, I think it depends on what What's going on really with it? It looks like this could potentially be baked in at hardware level by Nintendo, and I think it's Nvidia that are making the chipset for this one. Which doesn't surprise me.
No,
Well,
they
they
seem
probably
to
make
have
it-
the market.
Well, they probably want to make it significantly different from the PS5 and the Xbox that are using AMDs.
Yeah.
So maybe Nvidia went, ooh, we can get a market here. I don't know.
We have Tegra-Ty.
Tegra-Ty.
Yeah.
Oh god. Anyway, so let's move on from that awful joke.
That was a great joke that only 2 people are going to get. And Pete was one of them.
Yeah, I know. In fact, I might even call the episode it now, just for... In fact, I'm writing it in the chat.
Tequila, Kylie.
Oh, I can't even do it. Excellent. I'm just going to write it in our chat when I can. In fact,
Oh, that's fine.
fine. It's good. Right, let's talk about some people in the games industry who might not be in the games industry anymore.
Phil Spector?
Spectre? Who's Spectre? That's a monkey from Ape Escape. You mean Phil Spencer?
Yes! I could make a pun about the Tegra chip, but I couldn't even get the Xbox president right.
Welcome back to Rapid Reviews. This is a complete nonsense already. Spent more time talking about games we've been playing and crap we've been doing than actually being informative. Oh wait, we've never been informative.
Ah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I can inform you how much I drank. Danker says, yeah, there was a video out on YouTube that showed the Nintendo Switch 2 board that showed the NVIDIA chip was dated back to 2021.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
Not at all.
At all. Anyway, let's talk about some things that have been going on in the games industry, like I said. And no, it's not about Phil Spencer or Phil Spector. Do you happen to remember that earlier the year, or April, SNK released Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves?
Yes, I do, because we talked about it.
Well, SNK have followed this up a month after launch by stating that its CEO will be stepping down following the release of its heavily marketed latest fighting game.
That's kind of wild. Do they give a reason why?
Let's get to it. So, the company announced that Kenji Matsubara, who joined as CEO in August 2021, will transition to an advisory role where he will continue to lend his expertise and vision. Quote, during his tenure as CEO, Mr. Matsubara has been instrumental in driving the company's growth and innovation. He transformed SNK by expanding its development division and strengthening its sales and marketing functions, building it into a global publisher capable of competing worldwide. Let's carry on. As part of the transition, the board will appoint the chairman of the boards to assume the interim role as CEO. The board expresses its deepest gratitude to Matsubara for his dedication and leadership during the transformative period in the company's history. The SNK Corporation remains committed to its strategic vision. It is excited about the future as it enters a new phase of leadership. Anyway, there's a reason for this. Let's get into it. Although it wasn't officially cited as the reason, the news comes weeks after the release of Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, which was promoted as one of the grandest marketing campaigns in recent memory. I'll talk more about some of the things they did do for this.
Okay.
The fighter has sold only 6,302 copies in Japan in its first 11 days, according to Famitsu. On Steam, the game has an all-time peak concurrent number rate of 4,674, which is lower than even its recent beta, and in the last 24 hours has hit 1,157.
Holy crap!
So in terms of numbers, by comparison, Street Fighter 6 hit a peak concurrent of more than 32,000 players in its last 24 hours, despite being nearly 2 years old.
Yeah.
Right? Tekken 8's recent 24 peak 6,841, but has an all-time peak of nearly 50,000 players when it was released 16 months ago. While sales figures of console versions outside of Japan are not yet known, the game doesn't appear in Sony's official top 20 PS5 charts for April in either North America or Europe.
I'm with Nana. How did this not sell? Pete will have to let us know, because this seems like it has a built-in fan base, a built-in very loyal fan base.
Well, so Nana's just put this. How did this game not sell? They put the game on buses. There was a Fatal Fury bus outside of my house. They also sponsored boxing matches.
Yeah.
Including the Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn fight that happened in the UK during April 26th, when the game basically had just launched.
I wonder if that's the thing I saw. I saw something. I was like,
did.
ooh, I gotta tell Pete.
You did. That was exactly it. I knew it was happening. I just didn't care.
Yeah, that's wild.
I want to talk about SNK because this is obviously going to be covered in the article. So SNK is owned by the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. So there might be some reason behind that. Acquired 96% of the acclaimed Japanese developer in 2022. So there were a couple of additions to the roster that might have annoyed people.
Right.
Including, well, the two guest characters. Salvatore Ganacci, so an EDM DJ.
Cool.
And Cristiano Ronaldo, the footballer.
Right. Right.
Yeah, very, very, very weird. So
that's
they
a
took
different audience.
So they took slots up in the game for these two characters and have took and a couple of fan favorite characters have been put on the DLC list, including Andy Bogard. Which
Isn't that like a main one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought so. Knowing from you, I know that.
Which is quite interesting as well, because there are two guest characters also coming in the first season of DLC, including Chun-Li and Ken from Street Fighter.
Always.
Is anyone even going to care at this point when they do get announced or do get
launched? So oversaturated at this point. No.
Yeah. I don't think people were going to care. Nana says people are beginning to come around to Ganacci. To be fair, I honestly couldn't give a crap. I looked at his fighting style, I was like, don't care. Like, he shouldn't be in the game. Cristiano Ronaldo shouldn't be in the game. It's a marketing ploy. The marketing, they spent far too much money on the marketing of this game rather than actually making a game. I mean, from what I've played of it from the beta, it was a fine game. Confusing as all hell and not overly very successful, like not overly very accessible to the lay audience when it comes to fighting games. And let's be honest, SNK fighters have never been the most accessible to anybody outside of the hardcore audience in terms of fighting games.
Yeah.
They are overly complex, mechanic heavy. I get that.
Yes.
And even that kind of put me off to agree. Like, I don't like an overly complex fighting game. I like a lot of depth to my mind, but there was just so many systems in play that it made it so much to remember. Like the gear system, there was a gear system in place. It was like, where do I put this on? How do I make use of it?
That's what she said.
Yes. It also affects your damage and all of that. It's like, Jesus Christ. So I got that impression straight away from the open beta that I played, the first one, and the netcode wasn't fantastic. To be fair, when you've got a game that needs to be played mostly online for people to train and get ready for Evo and stuff like that, it's not going to be easy to play that game. So it might come down the line with patches, but obviously if this has fallen by the wayside with a lot of the audience or lack of an audience, I don't see this game lasting. This could be the worst game that's ever performed for SNK. And they have once been in bankruptcy.
Well,
Oh dear.
Anna hints at that. Yeah.
It's not going to happen. I really don't see it happening. They're funded by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia.
Right. Yeah.
They're never going to go bankrupt.
No.
Ever.
No.
It might be possible that he might turn around and go, this isn't profitable, and sell it.
Right. But no.
But doesn't seem likely. They're willing to throw money around to get into different parts of the of industry. So any way that they can use it to promote tourism, I think they don't really care.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, a bit disappointing because obviously another person's lost their job as a result of this, but it's the Saudis. They're quite ruthless when it comes to business, and yeah,
they're great business people.
Yeah. Oh well, it's fine. So we're now going to go from Eastern to Western developers because there's been another casualty of the video games industry.
Yeah, I think Brent brought this up at some point.
Jade Raymond. Do you know who Jade Raymond is?
No, I don't.
She is the head of, or ex-head now, of Haven Studios.
Why does that sound familiar? We've talked about them.
Haven Studios was the company that was founded by Jade Raymond, was purchased by Sony, and are making the game Fair Game, or Fair Games, or whatever it was called. Jesus Christ, I don't even remember. Yeah, Fair Games.
Yeah, we talked about that. The
generic extraction shooter that looks very generically crap.
And it's sad because it looked like it could be something good, and it was just generic.
Yeah, she also...
There's nothing special.
She also created Assassin's Creed. Yeah. Anyway, veteran producer Jade Raymond's left Haven Studios, the company she founded. According to a new report by Bloomberg, Raymond, who rose to prominence after producing, so didn't create, produced Assassin's Creed and executive produced Assassin's Creed 2, Bloodlines, and Watch Dogs, has left her studio, which is still in the process of developing online shooter Fair Games. Although a reason wasn't given for Raymond's departure, the report cites sources who notes that an external test of Fair Games took place several weeks ago, and that some developers were concerned about how it was received. So they're
making them by AI now. That's how generic extraction shooters have become. Nobody wants one.
So the departure rounds off an eventual decade of Raymond, who left Ubisoft to found EA Motive. So EA Motive have actually gone on to do some good things.
Yeah.
Including the Dead Space remake.
Yeah.
But not under her tutelage. Before leaving in 2018 for Google Stadia.
That was it. That was the connection. I was trying to figure it out.
So
that was it.
After Google decided to close its internal games development teams in 2021, she left her position as the Stadia's development boss, and along with 5 co-founders and around 20 ex-Google employees, launched Haven Studios.
Now I remember we did talk about them. Yes, we did.
Yeah, so this is PlayStation was funding its game, and then went on and acquired the studio in 2022. So this is a quote that's come from a spokesperson at PlayStation. Jade Raymond has been an incredible partner and a visionary force in founding Haven Studios. We are deeply grateful for her leadership and contributions and wish her all the best in her next chapter. They added that PlayStation is committed to supporting Haven Studios and excited to continue the journey. So, yeah. Oh dear.
I think the time for extraction shooters has passed. I'm not saying that.
Do you want to save that? Do you want to save this point? Let's get to that in a while.
Okay.
Hold on to that one because
I will do that.
It might be in regards to another extraction shooter.
Okay.
Okay. Let's talk solely about Jade Raymond. Because I want to say this, and I'm not saying this just because she is female.
Oh, yeah, well, let's not hopefully that doesn't come into play.
This woman has failed upwards since she left Ubisoft.
Yeah, and I don't think... No, I'm going to agree with Pete. And I'm going to add, I don't think she's failed upwards because she's a woman.
No, she's failed upwards because... I don't know. Because
there's a raft of people. Jim Ryan,
because she has a name.
Randy Pitchford, all of them, they just fell upwards.
Yes.
Even Peter Molyneux.
Oh, sorry. There is another story we can talk about. Let's talk about this one in a minute.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, because
okay.
you mentioned Randy
Hello,
Pitchford.
Stephen.
Hello, Stephen.
Oh, of course. How are you? I have had 4 tequilas. 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila, 4. And Pete is looking up a story. So I'm doing filler.
No, carry on. I know what I'm doing.
No, I was just saying that I absolutely agree with Pete that she's failing upwards, and it's not because she's a woman and people have been giving her like a pass. No. She's in that same class of people, like Jim Ryan, Randy Pitchford, all of those. They just fail, and then people give them more money.
Mm-hmm.
To fail harder.
Like, for Christ's sakes, like, how do you create a studio, get a game funded by Sony, then acquired a year later, and still not release a video game? And it's also an incredibly generic-looking, crappy game anyway.
Exactly what I was going to say, which is, not only is it generic, and it made, like, everyone that watched that teaser sad, there are AI-created extraction shooters, and for some reason, I've had too many tequilas, and I can't remember the names of them, but they're very popular. They are created for less money in less time. I'm not saying I support AI-created extraction shooters. I'm saying that they exist. So to have a studio funded by Sony still not have a playable game out, it's pretty sus. You have to wonder, is this a grift? I think that, but I think everything's a grift.
Oh, you always do, anyway.
I do. I don't trust anything.
Anyway.
Yeah, I was thinking that, Nana. That was another one I almost said, and I was like, does he fail upwards? Because he just kind of fails middling.
No, I wouldn't say that he fails. He has failed upwards to some degree. He's failed.
Oh yes,
no,
he has.
But
he's rode also the coattails of other people.
He has, but he's also a vindictive asshole who has completely taken out the most talent from Naughty Dog to do so.
Yes, because his own ego's in the way.
We'll talk about it on the end of the stream, but I have reasons that let's move on before I actually talk about it.
Okay.
So let's move on to and I'm only going to say
teaser for later.
And I'm only going to say this quickly because I don't really want to cover the story in any massive depth. Randy Pitchford has been a dickhead again.
Is he? I'm not surprised.
I think I'm going to have to find the tweet, but Jesus Christ, that man is about as useless as a wet bag of farts.
Yes, he is.
Right.
A screen door on a submarine, but yes.
Where are you, Randy Pitchford?
Where are you, Randy?
Randy!
He certainly is, Randy.
I don't even want to think about that. Remember, this is the man that left.
Claptrap.
Yeah, remember, this is the man that left a USB stick of porn at medieval times.
And wasn't like, he just doubled down. He was like, yeah, that's my porn. Okay, I had to respect. See, that's my problem. Porn. Like, I respect that he doesn't, he doesn't like try to hide it.
That's my porn.
He's insane.
It's like, yeah, cool. All right, sweet.
Okay.
All right, cool, man. You do you.
Steven says, I don't know any of these people, but my favorite form of words is as much use as a one-legged man in an arse-kicking competition. Yes.
Amazing.
It's one of my favorites. That is great. I love that. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still trying to find
I haven't heard that one in a while.
Right.
These are all people who get exceedingly wealthy for doing nothing. Or for doing things badly, and they still get paid.
Okay, right, I found it. Anyway, so let's do this. So,
okay.
This is in discussion with the idea of game prices.
Oh, gosh. Let's hear it.
So, someone asked him about the cost of a video game, basically. And asked him why games should cost $80. And he... I can't remember what it's... So... Pitchford made the proclamation on social media after a Borderlands fan asked him, Randy, Borderlands 4 better not be $80. Don't take that risk. A lot of gamers aren't going to pay $80 and feed this notion of constant increases of the
Not
price
right
tag.
now.
You are the CEO. You have some say with the price when it comes to your publisher. I think that's a fair point that this Borderlands fan has stated.
Yes.
I'm going to preface this by saying if he would stopped at these first 3 words, he would have been fine. Because Pitchford said, not my call.
Right.
End it there, mother...
Yeah.
Anyway, he then continued the tweet because his fingers decided to get the better of him. If you are a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. My local game store had Starflight for Genesis for $80 in 1991. When I was just out of high school working minimal wage at an ice cream parlour in Pismo Beach. And I found a way to make it happen.
Okay. I have many things to say about that. And I'm going to try not to get political. But electronics, costed a lot more to produce back then. A lot more.
Yes, we've had this discussion before that most games
We have.
had their own chipsets on them, you know,
They
rather
did.
than actually the console had technology in them. Does anyone remember a Super FX chip?
Everyone our age and older does. But
I know,
everyone
that's why I
younger
decided to say
doesn't.
it.
I mean, I've told the story many, many times. I worked my butt off for my PlayStation.
I walked my ass off.
I was looking at chat. I worked my ass off for the PlayStation. It was $200, $199.99 plus tax. So it was over $200. $200 in the late 90s was a lot of money. A lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I made it happen. Do I think that I need to work that hard on this generation's tech, which is cheaper, more efficient, made in far more numbers, and before the nonsense that has happened in America, had trade deals with Asian companies? No, I don't think anyone should work that hard.
No.
Why? Why should people have to work as hard as we did, in the late 90s for tech? I love that the prices
more readily
came down.
accessible.
Yeah, exactly. I love that because I knew growing up what it was like to be that poor kid who was looking at their neighbor who had the Game Boy or who had the SNES. I had to play it at my nephew's house for the longest time because there was no way my mom was going to buy me a SNES. Are you insane?
Nope. First time I ever played an NES and an SNES were at my cousin's house because they had the money to be able to get them.
Yeah. It's always the richer
Same
relatives,
with PlayStation 1.
Well, I got to work my butt off for that. But if I hadn't, there's no way on this planet I could have got one. And I don't think that the generations coming up should have to suffer just because we had it a little bit more, it was difficult back then. Because what is the percentage of profits back then compared to the percentage of profits now? If that margin is that much more this time around, that's not fair to the consumer.
No, it's not. You have to remember that the cost to distribute games was a lot more back in the day because of cartridge cost, technology cost. Yes, dev teams were smaller, dev time was smaller, but obviously they had less to have to deal with. But it's still But now you've got digital distribution that means that the only markup you're ever going to pay on that is literally the 30% for putting it on a storefront, and that is it.
Right, because, we're in digital age now. I know people really love their physical copies.
Suckage.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, thanks, Nintendo. You're also, one of those people. Suck off.
Yeah.
Suck out. Suck it. Even I hate Nintendo for what they've done for that.
I know. Pete's a staunch physical media person. As are most of the people that come on this show. I'm the exception, but that's because I'm weird. And I want on demand, and I don't want to take up room. in my shelves. Except for my retro stuff.
And yet, of course, you've literally just got a box of retro stuff.
I know, that's what I'm saying, like retro stuff, yeah. New stuff,
Because most of it's barely even on a disc anyway. Because that does lead me on to something that happened with Doom as well.
I was gonna say. Let me show off Doom right quick. I think I could probably show this because I've already redeemed it. That's what comes in your
Well,
special
it's
edition.
PC anyway, so...
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah, but the thing is that even if you were to get a physical copy of Doom on PlayStation or Xbox, have a guess how much data is actually on those discs?
Oh, gosh. Don't even... what, 7K?
I think the PlayStation is probably no more than a couple of megabytes, or about 100 megabytes, I think it is. And I think it's the same for the Xbox One.
This is the Steelbook, which I love.
I mean, it's awesome.
I forgot. Look at this. This is so cool.
The hell is it?
It's heavy. It's the red ID card.
No,
it's like
I
the
mean,
famous...
but what is, like, is it just a collectible?
It's a collectible. It's heavy as F, AF.
Yeah.
That is heavy,
Yeah,
solid
I just wondered whether or not
metal.
it was a USB drive or something.
Oh, right. No, I don't think so.
Oh, that's a shame. That would have been cool.
That would be so cool.
Yeah. Hey,
Maybe I'll turn it into one.
Maybe you should. Anyway, yeah, so I thought that
Yes.
was an interesting thing to bring up quickly, because that happened whilst I was away,
Yes.
and that was awesome. So, Randy Pitchford, like, we've spoken about him before, he's just a jerk.
Yes. Yes.
We're now no longer going to call him Randy Pitchford on this. We're now going to call him Randy Prickford.
I was going to say, it's what Steven said in the comments.
I know, that's why I'm going with it. Thanks, Stephen. You will henceforth be known as Prickford.
Prickford. We called him all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, we did. I can't even remember half of them.
I can't either.
If he listened to this show, we were getting done for libel, for Christ's sake.
Oh my gosh. We did a special deep dive. I think it was...
Oh,
his first appearance?
yeah, I think it was. My God.
Oh my gosh. Deep dive on Randy Pitchford, but it was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I need to stop. I'm going to drink some more, but then we got to stop drinking.
Sure. Anyway, you might have seen this. So moving on to the next story, you might have seen this one doing the rounds.
Maybe.
I'm going to cover it quick because I've got a lot more that we need to talk about with the last story.
Right, okay.
We remember the SAG-AFTRA, don't we?
Yeah.
The Labour Union for American Actors.
Mm-hmm.
They have criticised Epic. Of course they have. For what purpose,
Yes.
you say? The addition of a AI Darth Vader in the chatbot in Fortnite.
Oh, goodness.
You may have seen this doing the rounds. This was actually quite funny, to be fair, but also a worrying state of our industry. So, Fortnite added the Darth Vader chatbot in its latest season, which allows players to interact with the character, who will respond with the iconic voice of the late actor James L. Jones. Epic says Jones's AI-powered voice was used with permission from his family. However, SAG-AFTRA argues that the tool still takes work away from other actors who could have voiced the character in the video game form. Now, let's rewind the clock back to the 90s and the early 2000s, where voice acting had just become a thing in video games, where we used to get sound-alikes. Do you remember the sound-alikes?
Yes.
My God, they were poor. Some of them were really bad. Some of them were really good.
I also remember, this is how old I am, folks. I remember Mark Hamill
Wing
not
Commander.
doing... Yes!
Goddamn Wing Commander.
Yes! And being like, oh my goodness, we're in the future of video games.
Yeah. What about Tim Curry as well?
Yes!
I'm going to go to the one place
Yep.
where capitalism doesn't have
Goes
space.
the paper again.
That is the most iconic speech of all time.
I love
So good. Oh, I wish I want you to find a clip of it. I really would.
Yeah, I need to. Yes. I'll put it on my stream deck.
Please do. You need to do it. You need to get that working for the show.
Yes.
Because I just need to hear Tim Curry just go, space. Like, he knows that script was so cheesy, and he just went with it. He went ham.
He's so good. Anything he did was just amazing.
Oh my god!
It's God. I love that one.
It's so good. It's like in the most iconic video game moments of all time.
Okay, Nana answered a question that was actually in my head that didn't come out of my mouth, and I'm shocked, but this is why he is the mod here and at my channel. Kylie, before you freak out, James Earl Jones agreed to this before he died.
He did. Yes, he did.
That was literally the question that was in my head. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, well, it happens, unfortunately.
But in some way, but you know what?
Rights.
You know what? Yeah, because here's the thing.
Here's the bang.
If I had a legacy, and I don't, and never will, but if I had a legacy, I would sign my rights over AI me. Boop, I can't cuss. AI me, people.
I think we pulled the pants down on this one of the censorship thing when we called him Randy Prickford.
AI me, biatch.
Yeah, I don't care.
We'll have to stick the explicit tag on. But,
yeah, it's fine.
But that means Nana can't use this as a short, and it's hilarious, and it'll get thousands of views like my other shorts do.
I don't care. I think people do it anyway.
But they do. One of my shorts has the F word, and it still broke thousands.
Exactly. Just as long as we don't show titties.
Whoops. But thinking about it from that point of view as a legacy that I would want to keep, like, Darth Vader is, without even saying it, is iconic. And James Earl Jones made Darth Vader what Darth Vader is. I mean, nothing against, what's his name? The guy that played him. I forgot his name. Pivens. No. What was his name? Tall guy. Can't remember his name. Doesn't matter.
David something.
David something. That guy.
Yeah. The Welsh guy.
Yes, that guy.
Yeah.
That when you hear him say the line in his voice, it's like, oh. You're a traitor.
Yeah. Also remember as well, there's a lot of modulation used in James Earl Jones's voice anyway.
I mean, that's true, but he does have some juicy voice tones.
Yeah, he does. But anyway.
But my point in all of that is that I would want my legacy to continue on, so I would probably agree with that. Now that I think of it that way. You know.
Anyway, shall we read the quote?
Yes.
Shall we hear the quote? We celebrate the right of our members and their estates to control the use of their digital replicas and welcome the use of new technologies to allow new generations to share in the enjoyment of these legacies and renowned roles. However, we must protect our rights to bargain terms and conditions around the uses of voice that replace the work of our members, including those who previously did the work of matching Darth Vader's iconic rhythm and tone in video games.
I mean, okay.
You say what you need to say, because I've got something I need to say about this.
Okay, but here's the thing. I would like to discuss this, chat, if you can. What is the difference? And I know you're going to say, oh, it's a human body. That's not... I want to talk about the philosophical differences between an AI voice and an impressionist. Because neither of them are the original product.
No, they're not.
And if I'm going to pay $10 an hour, it would be way more, for an impressionist versus $2.50 for an AI, because I can't get the real thing.
You know what you're going to pay. Especially if you're trying to make as much money as possible. Yeah.
It's just a philosophical discussion.
Discussion.
Discussion. It's just a thought game.
It's a thought exercise.
A thought exercise. Thank you, Pete. Pete's the tequila translator.
How the hell did you survive 3 weeks on a stream without me?
I did it. Did you see me?
Couple of times, yeah. You have to remember that when you're streaming at 6:30, it was lunchtime.
I know, because it's Brent's lunchtime too.
I know.
Yeah.
Me and him were eating probably roughly the same lunch.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Anyway, I don't want to think about food right now. I gotta go on a diet.
Yeah.
Big time.
Anyway, so SAG-AFTRA goes on to accuse Fortnite's signatory company, Llama Productions, of choosing to, quote, replace the work of human performance with AI technology. Unfortunately, quote, go on.
Oh, well, I didn't mean to interrupt at all, but I did like Nana's comment, which is for me, it's just, I don't like the idea of puppeting a corpse even with AI. I have to say, Pete, I don't know how it was in the UK, but late 90s, early 2000s, they used to do commercials where they had AI, Marilyn Monroe and Paul, what's his face, with the ranch dressing? Paul Newton? 50s actors. Anyway, James Dean, all that kind of stuff. And it disturbed me so much because, I mean, I think it's obvious. I absolutely adore Marilyn Monroe. And then seeing her selling, like, pancakes or whatever it was. I think it was cologne. Perfume. But it was just like... Yeah. It was disturbing. It was disturbing.
Yeah, I mean, I think recently, probably more than about 5 years ago now, I think Audrey Hepburn was on an advert for something.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, it was very weird. I agree.
Yeah, with you. So I have to say, Nana, yeah, I'm agreeing with you on that part. Now, voice-wise, I'm still kind of like in the debate of impressionist versus AI. Anyway, Pete, I interrupted you, and I did not mean to do that.
It's fine. It's not a
Tequila
problem.
did it, not me.
Yeah.
But yes, right. Continue.
So, unfortunately, they did so without providing any notice of their intent to do this and without bargaining with us over appropriate terms. As such, we have filed an unfair labour practice charge with the NLRB against Llama Productions.
Oh.
They have.
Interesting.
I have a thought about this one.
Okay.
I don't know where SAG-AFTRA are coming from on this one. Mm-hmm. I don't get why, to be honest. Because if the estate of Jones Earl Jones has said this is completely okay to do, they have got no right to stand on. I think I know why they might be doing this one, and
it's for future proofing.
No, let's say it over and over again for everyone in the crowd, in the back of the crowd, to hear us, and put on your best Mr. Krabs voice. Money.
Money.
It's to do with money. They won't get paid, so therefore they don't want it.
Right,
we all know what a union. You know what a union is. Union takes membership fees. You know, if they use an AI for a non-SAG-AFTRA affiliated union or union member, or therefore dead union member who might not be paying their fees anymore.
They can't pay money. Yeah, Pete, that is probably very true. I still support unions. I'm a big union supporter, but also Pete's not wrong on this. That's a very good point.
I agree that unions have a time and a place in certain industries where there's unfair practices that do happen, but in most occasions they will argue the crap out of everything just to get more money out of things.
I'll say they ruined Battlestar Galactica.
No, just so they can get more money themselves and keep operating.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So some people might consider unions to be a bit of a scam. I don't necessarily. In some industries, they need them.
I don't, because I'm a socialist. But I do know that they can get out of hand. I do absolutely know that.
I mean,
greed is the thing that ruins any political spectrum.
Oh, it does anything, whether it's capitalism, socialism, communism, everything.
Communism cannot work because of greed.
Greed is the root of all evil.
Mm-hmm. Or if you watch the 1980s Wall Street movie, greed is good.
No, it is not. Greed is the root of all evil. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'm on the fence about this one. I don't want to agree with Epic because it's Epic. They're $1 billion corporation, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
But I also don't like SAG-AFTRA.
I know.
I think that they basically killed off the film industry for a year for no reason.
And
now
TV.
now they're trying to kill off video game representation because of trying to get more money. Yay. No, I understand the
I know.
reasoning behind why they're doing it for some degree, because they want better practices for their workers. But,
I get that. But I also get that, like, I mean, this will probably sound terrible, and this is no shade to James Earl Jones' estate by any
No,
means.
of course not.
But when you have a main, we'll say, iconic moneymaker in your family, and that iconic moneymaker is gone, and this is true for
The family still need
Tolkien,
to get money.
Yeah,
Oh,
Ratchet.
Oh God, let's not talk about the Tolkien estate. Jesus Christ.
I knew
the Tolkien estate have completely, absolutely ruined that man's legacy. God damn it.
So is Arthur
Rings
Conan Doyle.
Rings of Power is dog crap.
But my point being, I knew that was get that reaction. But my point being that when that moneymaker is gone, yeah, it's bait. You have to figure out how to keep making money off of this legacy.
Yep.
AI is gonna do it. You know. That's my theory, anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about big news story for the week.
Yeah, and then we'll probably wrap it up because I fall asleep.
Yeah, this is a big one. That's what she said.
That's what she said. Yes.
So, let's talk plagiarism. Yay!
Plagiarism. Instead of PlayStation.
Remember, plagiarism has no limits.
That's right. Now, before Pete even reads the story, which I do not know what it is, I will say that as a writer...
I think you do know what it is.
Probably will when you start saying it. As a writer, plagiarism... I found some of my stuff in someone else's book. I had to do a cease and desist order on their books because they lifted whole chapters from my sci-fi book and put it in theirs and just changed the character's name.
Of course. Yeah.
So anyway, I hate plagiarism. Yes, go on.
Speaking of plagiarism, do you remember what happened to Philip Mewson?
Remind me, because I know we talked about that.
The IGN writer that got found out to
plagiarized
the Dead Cells review.
Yep. Which I couldn't believe. I couldn't believe it. Yes.
Yeah, everyone forgets about Philip Mewson until you bring up his name again.
Yeah, you just have to say IGN writer, and it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Pepperidge Farm remembers. Wow. Anyway,
yes.
Let's get to this because I think Bungo, as I hear on another podcast, some people call him Bungie called Bungo.
I know, somebody called him that too.
Because Bungie is really bungled up this time.
They have.
Bungie has acknowledged that an artist's work was taken and used in its upcoming marathon without their permission. Scottish artist Fern Hook, who posts under Anti-Real on social media, posted a series of messages on X on Thursday.
How does this... Anyway, no.
Yeah, this was from last week, so last Thursday. Anyway.
Chill till Pete's done.
Accusing Bungie of taking assets from her previous work and using it on the newly released alpha for the game. Quote, the Marathon alpha released recently and its environments are covered with assets listed from poster designs I made in 2017. Bungie is of course not obligated to hire me when making a game that draws overwhelmingly from the same design language that I have refined for the past decade. But clearly my work was good enough to pillage for ideas and plaster all over their game without pay or attribution. Let's carry on. So, Bungie has now acknowledged that Hook's claims are accurate and that the staff member responsible for the apparent plagiarism is no longer employed there. The quote from Bungo themselves is, we immediately investigated a concern regarding unauthorized use of artist decals in Marathon and confirmed that a former Bungie artist included these in a texture sheet that was ultimately used in game. So this is a statement that came from the official Discord server. I'm going to get to this in a minute.
Okay.
So I put a pin in that section for a moment
Okay.
This issue was unknown by our existing art team, and we are still reviewing how this oversight occurred. We take matters like this very
Laziness.
seriously.
do
We
not.
have reached out to Anti-Real to discuss this issue, and are committed to do right by the artist. As a matter of policy, we do not use the work of artists without their permission. Except for the 3 other times that you did it in the last 4 years.
I was gonna say.
Sorry, that was my editorial. Where did that come from? Anyway, to prevent similar issues in the future, we are conducting a thorough review of our in-game assets, specifically those done by former Bungo artists. Sorry, that was me adding Bungo rather than Bungie. I can't help it. I now have to call them Bungo. And implementing strictest checks to document all artist contributions. We value the creativity and dedication of all artists who contribute to our games, and are committed to doing right by them. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Now, the reason why I said I'm going to put a pin in this when it said it was on the official Discord server, because where did this officially come out first for all to read? Twitter.
I was gonna say X, but yeah.
And here's where this becomes quite interesting to me, because it wasn't on Bungie's main page. Or main Discord, or main Twitter profile. It also wasn't even on the official Marathon Twitter profile. It was on the Marathon developer Twitter.
I have so much to say, Pete.
They tried to bury it using a different account.
I have so much to say.
Yes. So, carrying on, Hook also claimed that a number of Bungie artists have been following her on social media for a number of years. Implying that they have been aware of her for some time. Quote, in 10 years, I have never made a consistent income from this work, and I am tired of designers from huge companies mood boarding and parasiting my designs while I struggle to make a living. She did also state that she would consider legal action, but she doesn't have the revenue behind her to actually take up legal action.
Someone will step up. There will be a lawyer.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Yeah, there will be.
I don't believe that this is going to be the case anymore, by the way. But we'll get to that in a minute, because there was follow-up to this.
Bungie will probably settle, but okay.
I don't think they are settling. We're going to carry on with this. We're going to discuss it in the next news story, but I want to discuss a little bit about this in the first place. Because I have already mentioned this isn't the first time this has happened, and not even the first time this has happened in 15 years. No, this is the 4th time this has happened in the last 4 years.
I used to call myself a Bungie fangirl.
Yeah, but that was when Joseph Staten was there, and actual
it was.
Good people were working there. When they actually had creativity and design.
When they kept winning on, I know it's a video game awards, but it doesn't matter. Well, not just Halo. Well, as the community supportive, the most supportive community was always Bungie. Always Bungie. There's a reason for that. I'll let Pete finish, and then I'll just say my little play.
Well, it was basically pretty much saying that there was a lot of creativity in the studios back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, yes.
And funnily enough,
even to the mid 2000s.
Can I just say it right? I'm getting to this. Until about, what was it, roughly about 2010 time, was it?
Yes.
Well, the fall of Reach and the fall of Microsoft? It's almost like Microsoft might have had some checks and balances involved that might have actually helped them in this situation. And almost like them going independent was probably the worst decision they ever made.
Yes and no.
To some degree.
To some degree.
They got to retain their IP, I guess, in Destiny. But they didn't really go to independent.
Heinous debt. No, and then they sold out to Sony.
No, they they had a publishing deal with Activision first.
Yes.
Yeah, everyone forgets that the original Destiny was an Activision game.
And it failed.
And guess what? Guess what now? Which is highly more ironic now, because Activision Blizzard are owned by Microsoft, meaning they technically were owned by Microsoft at one point.
I don't know what kind of magic they had up until 2010. because Pete is right. That's the demarcation.
Oh, I can tell you what kind of magic it was. It was the greatness of Peter Moore and that Halo 2 tattoo.
If you don't know what Pete is talking about, you need to go search that up on YouTube. It was on his Twitter forever. It's wild times.
Video games industry was so much more fun back in the 2000s, wasn't it?
It really was. And that's what it was about. It was about fun.
This is a shit show nowadays.
It's so, like, obviously they were corporate overlords back then, but E3 was so different, and I don't know, it was just a fun cowboy wild times.
Yeah, like Miyamoto standing on stage playing Wii music. That is absolutely incredible.
And then when they did the PlayStation, what was it, PlayStation 3, where they just walked on stage?
No, it was PlayStation 1. It was after Saturn announced. So it was in 1994. It was when Saturn announced its price at $399 or $4. And then Sony, rather than doing like their normal presentation, literally walked out and went $299 and just walked away. All these people filtered into a stage show to hear about all these financial things to do with Sony, see a load of games, and all they did was $2.99 and walked away. The crowd went insane.
Oh my gosh. Also, Nana has redeemed a streamer shout out, which is Kinkymation, which is fun to say, over on YouTube. Go check them out. And Steven said there's a famous example in publishing a while back. An artist created a parody Ladybird book. I've seen those. They're so good. The publishers of Ladybird threatened to sue her, then turned around and ripped off their idea for a series of satirical adult Ladybird books of their own.
Damn.
I did not know that's where that came from.
That's pretty shocking.
But that's what's happened so much more and more in all media, like books, films, everything, just everything. I guess because there's so much access now to your grassroots artists.
Yeah.
Which is...
And go on.
I'm just so angry at Bungie because I was a Bungie fangirl. You know this. I didn't hide it. Bungie, Bethesda, that was me. Bungie dropped way off when they sold out. Actually, I never forgave them for leaving Halo.
They left my Microsoft.
They did. How dare they do that to me? But I gave them a chance with Destiny 2, as you know. And I did really enjoy Destiny 2, but they were in debt big time because it wasn't a good model to make money on.
No, because they were spending a lot of money on voice actors, visuals, and ongoing story and all that. And their player numbers kept dwindling until a new season and the new expansion came out, and then even the numbers didn't necessarily justify the cost of the development for that expansion.
Exactly. Steven says the Ladybird book of midlife crisis and so on are all based on her idea. Never knew that. I never knew that. And then it says, but yeah, extraction shooters suck. Shooters that aren't Doom suck. Yes, it's true. At least to me. In the game industry, please make more platformers and action games. That is awful. The thing is, with Bungie, they were an indie company spending like they were a AAA company. So they didn't have a choice. They needed to sell out. I just wish they would have taken Microsoft's offer, but they didn't. They took Sony's instead.
Well, they took Sony's nearly 15 years later.
Yeah, but even at the end, from what I read, Microsoft did give them a last ditch. Come back! And they said, no, we're not going backwards. We're going to go forward.
No, we want to be independent. Okay, let's be independent under Sony. That's really independent, isn't it?
Because theoretically, that's what was supposed to happen. Sony was supposed to back off and just be funding. Well, that doesn't happen in corporate
No, to be fair, they are actually releasing Marathon on Xbox and PC, so they are technically allowed to do that.
And that's the thing that really annoys me. For those who don't know, the younger generation, Marathon is super old. It was on the Macintosh. It predates Halo by it was out when Descent was out. So
it was
early 90s.
Mac times.
Yeah, exactly. So early 90s, my heyday of video games. But there has been so much art done about Marathon. I'm genuinely shocked that they did this. Like, I'm disappointed.
I'm not mad.
And shocked.
I'm just disappointed.
Just disappointed, yeah. But Pete made a good point earlier, which is the original Bungie team obviously is not there. They've just aged out and retired. But Bungie was known for its integrity. But it was known for its integrity. It really was. Like, it tried to be grassroots. It tried to be for the people, of the people, by the people. It tried to be an indie, even though it was owned by Microsoft. But it had that kind of
It had the
feeling.
community aspect to everything. Like, you
Yeah.
know, the fact was that
big
there
on
were so many
community.
goddamn playlists on Halo 2 were all community driven, to the point where
Yes.
they officially basically made some game modes in free because of the community aspect of it. You know,
It was
Red
huge.
versus Blue existed because of Bungie.
Yes.
You know, they could have gone in and go, no, we're going to
So
cease
good.
and desist this because it's using
Yeah.
our IP. And they went,
But they didn't.
nah, we're actually going to make it a recognised thing and put it in our game because
I
this
was
is
gonna
freaking
say-
awesome.
Then they put them in Halo 3, and
Yeah.
I was like, I squealed. I was like, ah!
Exactly. Like, they actually cared about their community. And now
They
the
did.
only care that they have about their community is ripping them off.
Yes, because like Pete says, this isn't the first time. It's not even the second time. Or the third.
It's the fourth.
It's the fourth. At that point, you should have already had an oversight committee.
Oh,
in
they
place.
should have done a long time ago. They should have had
Yeah.
this in place. But I just don't think they really even care. They're just like,
I don't
well,
think so.
look,
I
we could
think
skimp money off. Like, let's make this a little bit easier on ourselves. The creative team that were there are now gone. They haven't got as many ideas like for new IP that they used to have, which is why they're now having to farm an old IP to bring it back into the modern day. And actually, they've decided to make it an extraction shooter, which is not even an original thing anyway.
it was never like that.
And the art style
Not
that they're
even
using,
remotely.
whilst interesting enough, is not a unique concept to them.
No,
Loads of people been
that's-
doing them. Has done this
that's-
kind of art style before. Frickin' Ridge Racer did this long before Marathon even touched it.
I cannot express my disappointment. It's probably, I hate to say it's the last straw, but it's definitely one of the last straws that, I mean, it was a big blow to me as a fan when Bungie sold to Sony.
Mm-hmm.
We know this because I talked about it on the show at length.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we continue on this story because there was an update to it?
Yes.
So,
Yes, because I'm also getting sleepy.
I know. So, as a result of this,
Yes.
there was a planned Marathon gameplay that was supposed to be shown via a
Of
live
course,
stream.
Yes, I remember that being scheduled. So yeah.
This was pulled. It basically ended up with a 5-minute stream, or so, I don't know how much it was, of two developers basically explaining the situation, which is where the memes have now come in with the sad developer looking very abject, because the stream was filled with quite a lot of talk of plagiarism.
Because that's what it is.
Yes. So anyway,
Yes.
Bungie pulled all Marathon gameplay from its latest live stream on that Friday, while it said it reviews and removes artworks that it took from one of its former artists. So we won't go over the background.
Right.
On Friday, the developer kicked off its weekly Marathon live stream in somber fashion, first announcing it would not have any gameplay due to the ongoing investigation into the lifted artwork. Joseph Cross, Marathon's art director, then claimed Bungie was conducting a thorough review to remove any art from the game that was inappropriately sourced and ensure that the situation didn't happen again. Cross claimed that Bungie had reached out to Fernhook to apologise and make sure that they do right by her, though no specific details were shared on it. So, quote,
Right.
Anyway, so it come to our attention an artist who worked on Marathon in the early stages of pre-production took a number of graphic elements from a graphic designer without permission or acknowledgement and then placed them on a decal sheet that was then checked in 2020. Cross said. The decal sheet included icon and text elements which ended up in our alpha build. There's absolutely no excuse for this oversight, and we are working on and are 100% committed to the review process to ensure that incidents like this do not happen again at Bungie. Cross claimed that over the last 24 hours he'd reached out to Fern Hook and was auditing all the work done by the former Bungie artists. Anyway, we're sort of going over the similar ground anyway. So, yeah, while she said about this potentially going to a court case or someone funding this, there's no point. Bungie have already accepted this. They will settle this nowhere near a courtroom. No one will touch a legal fee anywhere. Like, the only thing that they will do is they will pay some sort of compensation, or if they agree to leave the artwork in place, the only money that will be coming out is they will have to fairly compensate Fern Hook for all of her work involved in this.
Yeah.
And they will probably pay handsomely for it because of the fact that they want to avoid litigation.
Yup.
Which I don't blame them, really. No. Jesus Christ. What a shit show.
Yes. Absolutely. Easily prevented, by the way.
Very easily prevented, but hey, this is Bungie we're talking about. Anyway, whilst I said this was a very interesting news week, we managed to get a lot of time out of it, so hey, enjoy.
We did!
And that's the end of the news.
Boop-a-doop-a-doop, boop, boop.
Rappity, rap up.
Yes. We hope you've enjoyed this show. Of course you have, that's why you're here. But it is our first show after 3 weeks back.
We missed you.
We did! We're back, baby!
I mean, you're back. I mean, you're not, because you've been streaming.
I was gonna say,
I also did leave. I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay. Interesting. But yes, while we're closing out the show, and I still have faculty of 2 of my brain cells, Pete, where can I find you?
Well, you can find me on this here podcast, listening and editing and doing all the good stuff, and actually running a podcast is quite hard work. But anyway, I do a lot of the stuff.
All I do
here.
is sit and drink, Pete. It's not that difficult.
No, all you do is sit and drink. I have to do everything else. No, it's fun. But you can hear me on this here podcast. You can listen to me on the Never Watchers podcast as well. The film and TV podcast that I do with my friend Kurt Lewin. Daredevil Born Again came out before I went away. Or actually, whilst I was away. Kurt very happily and very kindly took the editing on this one. So that came out whilst I was away, so you can go and listen to that. There will be a follow-up to Daredevil Born Again with someone else involved because it caused a bit of a stir, let's say.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, so check back for that one. There'll be a follow-up. We are actually doing another recording on the coming week. We're doing the Thunderbolts, so we're back with another Marvel one. Oh, sweet. Yes. But anyway, I alluded to it. Whilst I was away, I wasn't really away because, like with that podcast, I also did a sit-down session with Mike Tendo for the Game and Chat Lite, where we discussed Nintendo's financials.
Yes.
So if you want to listen to me sitting on a Mexican balcony at 11 o'clock in the morning with terrible Wi-Fi, you can do that. Go check out Game and Chat on Mike Tendo 64's YouTube channel.
All I heard was the first 4 words of that.
Yeah. Terrible Wi-Fi, 11 a.m. on a Mexican balcony. Hey, look, it was raining. I had to do something.
That's true. That's true.
So, yeah. Yes. Game and Chat on Mike Tendo 64's YouTube channel or the Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you find podcasts, I believe. So, yeah.
In your pockets.
You can also find us on Twitter X, and Blue Sky. Just search Rapid Reviews Radio.
Yes.
Kiley, go for it. Take about 20 minutes.
What? Me? Do I do anything besides this show? What? Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it's actually more of your focus than this actual show.
No, that's not true. Mostly.
It's mostly not true, except for the 3 days that I do this compared to the 2 hours I do this show.
It's true, but my heart is in everywhere. But yes, I do. I stream over on twitch.tv/KILEY_WILDE. I have to spell it because everyone gets it wrong. But it is KILEY_WILDE. Monday, Wednesday, Friday are the set in stone, never going to change 6:30 p.m. UK time streams. Mondays we do Mayhem Mondays, which is generally FPSs because I like FPSs. Wednesdays are our Weird Game Wednesdays, and right now we're doing Deadly Premonition. We might do another day of it and see how it goes because it's pretty weird. And then Fridays, we're doing Frightening Fridays, which means we're finishing up Resident Evil.
Probably
Resident Evil. And you know what? Sometimes when my audience is Nana and Pylord, because it's Friday, nobody shows up for streams on Friday. It's just not a popular day for streaming. Sometimes I do play Doom. And I'm not ashamed of that. But you can always catch me sometimes in between times. Just doing random stuff. Nothing that's planned. I only plan for Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Anything else is just fun for me. It's usually because I'm quite a lonely person. And I get to talk to people when I stream because I have the best chat. I get to say that because my chat is also Rapid Reviews chat. So together, we have the best chat. And then if you want to follow me over on YouTube, I'm also there. And I'm also on TikTok because they've been very nice to me after being a little bit mean to me. But they put me back in rotation, which I'm glad about that. Outside of that, you can come hang out with me at CrossFit. Because that's my life. CrossFit and streaming. That's all I do.
You've never thought about merging the two?
That's frightening.
I know. That's why I thought I'd bring it up.
You know, though, I do sometimes think, okay. Because, you know, I got to do a tangent right quick. And then we'll end the show.
Oh,
but,
what did I do?
Yeah, I know. So I hang around a lot of business gurus because I like to learn business things. And so there's a business guru here in Belfast. He would probably hate being called that, but he's an artist. And he was like, Kiley, why don't you have an Instagram? I was like, well, I kind of do have one. He goes, no, I mean, like, you are the perfect person for an Instagram, and you could just have a camera follow you all day. Everyone would find you interesting. And I'm like, I'm the most boring person on the planet. He's like, you're the least boring person. Please, just put a camera on you. Just get a drone and let it follow you around and put that on Instagram. Which to me sounds like the worst punishment. It's a nightmare for me, but it also sounds like the worst punishment for any humans out there. Because CrossFit Kiley is not this. No. CrossFit Kiley looks like some kind of wasteland scavenger that punches things and sweats a lot. So...
Yeah, some people pay good money for that.
That is true. Also, some people pay money for bathwater. I'm not saying I know that personally. I'm just saying it happens.
Yeah, but we know because of internet history and Belle Delphine.
Yeah.
And Amaranth, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. Who knows? But anyway, enough of my tangents. You guys have been absolutely amazing. And we have enjoyed being back. I'm speaking for Pete. I don't try to speak for Pete, but sometimes I do.
Him. No, it's been fun.
It absolutely has. And if you do check us out over at twitch.tv/Rapid Reviews, you can hang out with us before the show and after the show, because that's what we're about to do now. I have a wonderful time with our chat and just like talk about things and stuff and things and stuff. Stuff and things. But I think that's going to do it for us. And I get to say this because it's going to happen. Thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you and talk to you next week. Boo-doo, boo-boo, boo-doo.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Rapid Reviews Radio Podcast. You can watch the recording of the show live on Twitch every Sunday evening at 7 PM UK time at www.twitch.tv/Rapid Reviews. You can also watch the podcast on YouTube, search Rapid Reviews 5534, and you can also watch the video version of the show on Spotify, just search Rapid Reviews Radio. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, a rating, or a comment on this episode. You can also follow us on Twitter at RRRadioPod, as well as on Blue Sky at rrradiopodcast.bsky.social. Also be sure to visit rapidreviewsuk.com for all the latest reviews and previews.